was going to say that,
Yeah.
you know, in a previous meeting too, we were talking about that, where it's like public health against economic health. You either stay in and most likely die of starvation, especially in our part of the world where people are basically living hand to mouth, or you go out and you may get infected. And if you get infected, you may then die of the virus. All right. But Elon Musk is
Right.
even trying to redefine the convention as a matter of civil liberties. And I mean, what is your take? Do you think that
That is the commonest cry in America, where everybody comes up with liberty and rights and privileges.
I
And
mean,
that's why
it's
that's
fascist.
why the talk on gun control is still just a talk. Unlike Canada, where we had one massive and the worst in history, where 22 people were killed in Nova Scotia last month, we've put a ban on all assault rifles right away. Right? 22 is a very big number to us. America in Las Vegas had 50 something. The schools have in 2012. Sandy Hooks just happened only a couple of Sandy Hooks, the shooting in the daycare happened only a couple of minutes away from me. And it's always a lot of thoughts and prayers, and then it comes back to civil liberties, Second Amendment rights. Totally understand that, but nothing will change. Same way Elon Musk is playing that same card, but trying to back it up with data saying, yes, we have structures in place. As long as I can feed my family and I'm not affected by not going out, I would stick to the opposing side and say, yeah, let's stay locked up. Right?
A lot of people cannot afford that luxury.
But that's what I'm trying to say, that it's selective. And I like to bring it back to the same Africa where it's in Ghana. Okay. And when the lockdown was lifted, I'm one of the people who spoke against it, that, look, do you want to do this? But the difference in all this, okay, Tesla said employees come to work if you want to. Okay. So it's optional. So you either stay at home and get your $1,000 to $2,000 check from government if you qualify. If not, you survive on savings. Or come to work and make $5,000 a month.
That option that Tesla is giving, some will say it's a fool's option. Because it's like, if I stay, then I'll be perceived by the company to value my health.
No, it's clearly stated that you will not be penalized, and everybody still is holding on to their health benefits, which is the biggest thing here in the States. Healthcare benefits are the biggest because they don't have a national coverage, right? So the company was generous enough to keep health benefits, especially with health crisis, knowing that they will lose money. And it said, come to work if you can. As I said, the recession 10 years ago was so bad, with only 400,000 people losing jobs here. Now, almost 2 million.
That's why I saw America, they had like 16 something million. I mean, some ridiculous number.
America is 10 times our number. We're 37 million, America's 400 million. So a factor of 10 makes sense, right? But the number of people losing jobs is massive. And that's what I'm saying, that here, everything is about monthly payments. The average American is paying rent at the end of the month, or property tax every quarter. You're paying for food, for daycare. So if you don't have savings or a source of income or structured, people live in homes with mortgages, unlike Africa, right? And you guys pay your rent one time in a year. You know, you've paid your advance for a year, you have peace. Here, people are paying $2,000, $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 a month. So when you give them
every month.
Yes, when you give them a government incentive of $2,000 a month, and your monthly expense is $5,000, where is the minus $3,000 coming from? Right? If you have a debt of $300,000 on your house as a mortgage, yes, they've given you a break of 6 months not to pay a mortgage, but after 6 months, instead of $300,000, you now have extra interest of, say, $10,000 plus the payment you missed. You get what I'm saying? And it's not like you'll be hired right away if these companies don't resume. So it's a bit of a devil's advocate. But my role here is to point to leaders to let people understand the situation. Okay, so that's what I'm saying. It's like me here. I understand the pandemic and what's going on. I go out once a week. Nobody forces me. I drive to the grocery store in my mask, my gloves, whatever. I pick what I need. I clean. I come home. I go for walks with my family. I cycle when I want to. I stay away. Right? But nobody puts a gun or shouts, go out only Mondays, go out only Tuesdays. And people in industry, like the health people as well as manufacturing for health, they're going to work every day. I wouldn't ride the bus. I wouldn't ride the bus because I can afford to drive my own car, right? So if you have to go to work on a bus, you have a different threat to deal with as somebody with their own car. And if you have your own car, can you afford the monthly payments as well, even in these difficult times, right? So the fact that Tesla gave people the option, come and you won't be penalized, is way better than the local college here is forcing people to use their vacation time if they're not coming to work, right? So people are managing it far worse than Tesla is. But as I said, negative news about Tesla sells way better than any other negative news because it's the most short stock in history next to Apple, right? So it's very, very, very easy for every network to jump on the negativity.
So you're in a jack with
And then the networks don't like Tesla because Tesla spends $0 on advertisement.
Yeah.
Toyota and Ford are paying billions to make Fox and all the different networks rich. Super Bowl, 30 seconds of advertisement that show the Jaguar, and it's $5.6 million for 30 seconds. Right? They went there to show.
Are you saying that the media is what incentivized
Is it
to
not?
be negative
not.
bias?
It's not incentivized by positivity for Tesla. It's not.
But from what you just said, they are
The media
incentivized
is
to
not.
be
It's
negative
not
bias.
incentivized. The media is not incentivized to say positive things about Tesla.
Okay.
Does it make sense? Because Tesla brings zero income to them. Tesla is a deviant. And people pay to make Tesla look bad to help with stock shorting. So everything is against Tesla.
Okay.
There are companies working today which did not put half the structures Tesla has in place. Tesla has put its playbook online saying this is the changes we've made to help our employees. We've learned from opening in Shanghai.
Yeah, I saw that. I think.
Yeah. You don't see the same for, we had a lot of factories being restructured to produce face shields and everything. It didn't show what the playbook is.
But anyway, let me see if I can share that tweet before.
But that's exactly, what I'm talking about. At least they've been open enough to come up and say, this is our plan. So review the plan and say, no, it's inadequate, right? But as that, again, there's always some truth to the backstory. Tesla is spending way too much money operating from Alameda County. It's paying too much money as overhead costs operating from California. It's cheaper to move.
So are you with the camp that is advocating for them to move?
It's not about me or what I say. I'm trying to say there's incentive for them to move.
Okay.
Right? They didn't mind operating there, but if you're going to make it hard for us, then we'll move to another place where we'll have a lower cost.
Elon Musk basically is saying that. Let me read it. Is it basically saying that?
No,
okay.
Yeah, I saw that. You can read it out.
I'm trying to see if I can find it so that I can share it.
What he's basically saying is this is the last straw. Right?
Yeah.
We gave you a lot of chances. We're taking you to court, and if you push us, we're going to move everything to Nevada and Texas because they're looking for a new factory for production of the Cybertruck, and it was most likely going to be Texas because that's where they're getting more support and more incentive.
Which is interesting to me. Okay, so let me see. I think it will be in his replies. He actually tweeted that the sequence of events was they wanted to reopen Fremont on Friday, and the county said no, even though the state governor said that, oh, you can do whatever you want if you're a manufacturing entity. But he also sounds pre-calculated. A lot of things that Elon Musk does, you come and say, "Oh, okay, let's talk about this." But when you check the pattern of movement, it doesn't seem as spontaneous as he presents it to be. A lot of that you have observed that.
He's a person like all of us and has the right to be dynamic as well as premeditated, right? So at this point, whether it's premeditated or not, that's what I'm trying to explain, that it makes sense to move to a cheaper place because they will save billions of dollars by moving to Texas. But because thousands of jobs will be lost, they would have seemed selfish if they just got up and left in the name of profit. And I can confidently say he didn't look like the type who'll be driven by profit. But now that you're frustrating him, it's two things. Either I'll bully my way into working, or then I'll take this reason to leave. Which
So
most of us
basically, what you're
would
saying
do.
that they give him a convenient excuse.
Good. Most of us will do the same or worse in that situation.
But what about this? The lawsuit. I'm not messing around.
The
I've
the
said a
laws.
medically irrational behavior in violation of constitutional civil liberties. Moreover, by unelected county officials with no accountability needs to stop.
Yeah,
They
because
assume the county.
the public health officer in charge is appointed, as opposed to a mayor
Who's elected.
or a governor who's elected, right?
But that doesn't make the decision the person is making
Yeah, but that's
illegal.
what I'm saying. That if you realize, it's illegal from his perspective. Okay, the lawyer you get is someone who supports your argument or not, and that's what I'm saying. That I often don't enjoy discussing people because of the dynamism involved. I bet you people, any of us or other people in the situation would have done worse, right? Because the drive for profit, the drive for productivity is what is making a lot of us do a lot of things. Okay. So for him, he's itching to get back to work because he feels he has structures in place to prevent this. And they're going as far as shuttling employees and everything, which reduces that public interaction. Okay. If he opened and only 10% employees showed up and he changed the rules and forced them to work, then I'll have a problem.
Okay.
Do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because at this point, that's what I'm saying, that if you understood, I mean, over $30 billion have been paid in benefits alone just to keep people afloat. That is, at the end of the day, in the last 3 months, our deficit is a couple of $200 billion. Deficits destroy economies, right? And so anybody who understands economics, that's the difference between the West and Africa. Africa has a lot of informal sectors where you can't really have a recession, right? But if you bought a
Because you
home,
cannot really track. You cannot really track.
aside the fact that you cannot really track, you don't have a large borrowing sector. Okay,
Okay.
so when you have a large borrowing
It's
sector
cash
like the
based.
world, good. Africa is run on cash. So if you don't have, you don't spend. 90% of the cars people own is recently that bank loans and bank workers and people have access to cars and homes, right? But you own your home or you rent. But here, so many people, right? There's a recent article of a couple with 5 homes and they're struggling to stay afloat. And you tell somebody in Africa, oh, they have 5 houses in America and they are poor and they don't understand. But don't forget those 5 homes, you only need 5% down to buy that home, right? So when you do the math, even though they own 5 homes on paper, the amount of actual equity they have in the 5 homes can only buy one of the houses. At the end of the day, they are sitting at -4 houses, even though they have tenants and everything. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Okay.
So the borrowing capacity here makes it very easy for a shakeup. A lot of people would lose their homes because, as I said, you cannot afford to pay a 6 months mortgage because you've lost your job. And the most the bank would do is to give you a payment break, but you're still building up interest. So you owe 300,000 today, you can't afford it. So we're giving you a break for 6 months. But
In
after
other
6
words,
months, you
this
still
thing is
you
going
owe
to make.
more than you owed.
Okay.
It's not like you still owe the 300 you couldn't afford today when I gave you a break. Because I gave you a break after 3 months, you now owe me 320.
Okay.
Right? But the 320 you owe me, you don't have the job you had before the 6 months. So after 6 months, what happens? Well, you can't afford it anymore. So you got to file for bankruptcy. Now,
In other words, this is going to make the banks richer.
good. Out of the, it depends. Not necessarily the banks. Don't forget, it's our money in the banks. So if I'm a positive cash flow person and so I have savings and investments with the bank, then depending on where my investment is, I'll be rich. Right? And from that same house scenario I'm describing, that house that you owe 320, if you're to sell the house today because of depreciation, you will sell it for 250. Okay, so you bought that house for 400,000. Let's say 2019, you bought a house for 400,000. Okay,
You're losing 150,000.
You put down 30,000 to buy a 400,000 house. Okay, and you owed the bank 370, and you've paid the whole year. You've paid, X amount, and as at this year you owe 320 after all the money you've put in. But if you sold that house today because of recession and everything, you're only going to get 250,000. So even if you sold the house today, you cannot make enough money to pay the bank.
Which means that you have to find the 150,000 difference.
Good. So either you find the difference or you just declare bankruptcy and then walk away from that house. So you lose that home where you are now homeless.
And the money you are already put in.
Good. The bank too makes a loss, which is passed on to the investor, right? Because the bank needed to recover 320 and they've only recovered 250, right? So that homeless person was originally contributing to society by paying taxes. Now that person is going to have to depend on society to develop on welfare. Okay? So imagine 10 people going into the welfare pool instead of being in the tax-paying pool, right? That is why industries need to open. But unlike Africa, where the most is you're not paying rent, you're evicted, you go and stay with family. Or even if you become homeless, it's not like there's a welfare system where somebody will be giving you funds, right? And we don't have a structured tax system where it's like, oh, I'm losing $50,000 of your taxes. Do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So after all this, the cocoa farmer is okay, I'm just going to grow new cocoa and sell. The taxi driver is okay, I'm just going to look for passengers who come. It's not like he has a professional or allotted monthly payment on that cab that he didn't pay, so he'll lose the car. But here, everyone who was making a monthly payment for their car will now lose the car because they can't afford the payment.
Okay.
Right? So that is why there's the push of industry to get back to work.
So in other words, you agree with the push for reopening?
I agree and disagree. It depends on the sector and the structures. Yeah, it depends on the sector and the structures you have in place. You can't just push people back to work. You understand?
Why do you disagree with the timing of the lifting of lockdowns of let's say Ghana and other African countries?
So my problem with the lockdown in Africa is people still don't understand the virulence, the spread. Basically, the epidemiology is not well comprehended. Okay, so if I were an African leader, okay,
That's the function of a lack of education.
That's what I'm saying. That if I were an African leader, I'll start from what the same point I started with the Spanish flu. Okay, let people know we've been there before. It's not new. We've been there before. And if you tell Ghanaians, look, 100 years ago there's 100,000 people died all across the country, they would now listen to you. Okay, and then you explain this is a contact-based disease. So as much as you're stubborn and you want to get out there for business, if you have to get out, gloves, face mask, face shields, this is how they work. Okay, we're going to have to set into regulation a way to limit public transit, to control movement, to do this. Put everything out there so that the discerning people will now be more careful. So people will not force to go to church because they think that if they don't pray, right, something bad is coming. When the something bad is already there. Do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because half the pastors who are pushing for their church is to get their offering. So if you let people understand that the only reason we're asking you to limit contact is A, B, and C, and that it's not zero. I'm not testing enough. That is why my numbers are down. Come clean. I don't know if it was you I was telling earlier on another platform, but our target here in Ontario is 16,000 tests a day. Ontario is just one province, not the whole country. 16,000 tests a day for 14 million people. The whole country of 37 million, similar to Ghana's population, our daily tests exceed all the tests you've done up till today. Do you get what I'm saying?
Oh, really?
Yes. Right? We have about 5,000 deaths countrywide. Okay, which is a very, very significant number. But our numbers are leveling off. But we're finding cases because we're testing. Okay? So when Ghana is doing what? 1,000 tests a day, right? How many tests do they claim to be doing now?
No, I think right now they were saying that they'll be doing like 60,000. Not hold me to that. I don't have it. But
No. As that lifting the lockdown, they had done.
Okay. Yeah. We're in the thousands.
Yeah, and look at how your cases have shot up from 1,000 to 4,000.
Actually, about 3 days ago, the ministry declared that we have reached our peak, so that we are leveling off. Only for the very next day, Friday, the infection rate to shoot up. So everybody realized that they spoke prematurely. Anyway, this is just in support of what you were saying.
Right. That's what I'm saying. That is about.
There's not enough data.
There's no win or lose. Okay. Honestly, I feel there's a lot of political bias where they're forcing to do this voters register and to hide and do things, and there's still mismanagement of funds. Even the distribution of food was all politics, right? If you separated people, why would you gather people to distribute food? Right? If people understood that coming together that way to receive food is only going to make more people sick. But I can only speak from a position of privilege because I don't have to go and hustle for food. But the reality is, everybody who came out for the food, can they confidently say they couldn't do without it? Because I would believe there were opportunistic people there who were just there because it's free. Right?
I'll not make any comments.
All these are driving the numbers, right? So that's what I'm saying, that whether it's formal or informal education, if the mass of the people don't get a good picture of what's going on, then we'll repeat what happened 100 years ago. Where within 6 months you have escalating numbers, and then we need a miracle to save us. Right?
I think what was going for the virus is the death rates compared to the infection rates is lower. It's lower.
That's what I'll call as our miracle, because we don't have the hospital structures and the facilities to handle a blown out situation.
I don't know whether you heard about Madagascar.
Yes, yeah.
What do you think?
So one thing that we feel that as Africans is we have a lot of medicines and local concoctions which are very potent, but we haven't researched into it to get the posology. So in pharmaceutics, when you say posology, is about dosaging and quantities and concentrations, right? So if our leaders came together and pulled all the herbalists and everything and said, look, you guys have been doing malaria treatment for 10,000 years. What is the right concentration of neem tree seed or whatever to cure malaria? That's what we need to find. Right?
I trust roots, the seeds, and the
good. But
the trunk.
Over the years, we've just done things based on what was passed down to us verbally. Oh, my grandmother said chew ginger. My father said chew garlic. Right? But if we had streamlined this to test it, then we would lead the world in a lot of medicinals.
I agree with you. I think we had this conversation some time back. And I was actually basically telling him the same thing. But you know what the Madagascans seem to be selling, they seem to have undergone something similar like this. But
My
my
guy, my
idea.
position is in line with. I was talking about dosage, research, and all of that. Remember?
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what we're missing.
So if someone is coming around saying, Africa has the cure, what test have you done? I was asking you. That is why I do not buy totally into traditional medicine
But
because
but
there's no
but
dosage.
you can buy and test like Ghana. I heard I read somewhere that we are going to run tests on these medicines and see the efficacy, the dosage, whatever it is.
The last I also heard is that WHO is not part of the research for that of Madagascar. So
Okay.
whatever comes out of it, we hope it can heal the world. Why not?
There was this whole social media furor that the WHO is trying to suppress African innovation, blah 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 blah. I don't know whether you heard that and your position on all that.
Big pharma would always intervene. Remember, it's all about the
It's
economics, right?
about a bit the money. It's about the money.
The big pharma would. Why wouldn't I have a piece of the cake? But we have to stand strong. That's what I'm saying. We've done the research and we have the data to back, and we can replicate. We'll be able to overtake big pharma in a lot of things because we have the herbs and just as Olu
The
was saying
Chinese.
earlier on, that if you want a country like Nigeria to still depend on non-mechanized farming, you will fail, right? If we do things properly, you do mechanized farming and invest in processing, right? Processing uh, cash crops are regular. I still have to buy very hard green mangoes shipped from South America and keep in Ottoman or Thai in a closet and wait for it to ripen, right? Meanwhile, look at all the mangoes that go to waste in Ghana. You
You
understand what
know,
I'm saying?
I wish Alora was here because I would have loved to have a discourse between her position on this and your position. Where we had a discussion, but that's a comedy for another day. As we are winding down, I want us to talk about the Tesla Owners Club of Waterloo region. How did that come about? And what is the ethos and uh, of the organization? Because you're the president.
So one thing you'd find with car ownership is it's people would call it a cult, right? It's very easy. It's very easy to grow a car ownership or a bike ownership into enthusiasts who have the same idea. So when I jumped into Tesla ownership, everywhere I park, you have people coming to ask, right? People trying to talk to you. I had strangers walking to me. It made sense to have a formal group where it's not just me giving test drive. It's not just me trying to educate everybody, but all these enthusiastic owners on the same platform reaching out, right? And fortunately, last year was our first major summer event, and it still is the biggest Tesla event held in the country. Our numbers exceeded all expectation, and I'm planning to do it again this summer.
With your
Aside the,
lockdown,
hopefully things will be lifted, and I'll have the why. So there has to be a bomb, right? And the bomb for me this year is the why, right? Because the only reason why people show up for these events is because they want to learn. Now, the three was a bomb last year because it was still pretty new, right? And now the Y is way newer. And interestingly, the amount of money I paid for my Y is less than the amount of money I paid for my first Model 3, right? Because the first Model 3 I told you was a bit of a price. So my Y is actually cheaper than my first 3. So people are looking at all this. I'm not paying so much and I'm getting so much more, right? And that's the beauty of Tesla. The tech is improving, but the price is coming down. So people want to see, want to feel, right? And the summer barbecue is a place where it's not just me. You have hundreds of owners telling the same story. So it's easier to convince people. And don't forget, we're all doing this for free, right? I hosted this event with money from my pocket and money from friends. We didn't charge anybody, everything was free. But at the end, we had so many people being shifted to the EV cult or catching the EV bug. Because and that's what you said about the Ghana event. These things shouldn't be virtual. Okay? It's you have to be there to feel it, to touch it, right? It's like the accessories I sent to you. When you carry an EV charger around and people see how simple it is, then they're like, okay. The average person imagines an EV charger like a gas pump, where it's complicated and you cannot own it. I tell people it's like your phone charger, plug it in, and like, how? But now that you're holding one and carrying around, they're like, oh, okay.
Yeah, I think that we went to an organization, a government organization, and that was, I don't know, right before the lockdown. I mean, the response was very interesting to behold, I have to say.
Right.
It was very interesting in a positive way.
Yeah.
I wanted to say something. I mean, with what Percy just said, that is what I was trying to explain about the ozone effect that I read about. You are getting a higher technology, advanced technology, at a cheaper rate, would quickly make the current technology or the last technology you had obsolete. So how do you reconcile that investment and recoup it? Why, according to you, it's really cheaper but more advanced than 3?
Olu, you forget the other car companies are at least 10 years behind Tesla.
Yeah, but Tesla is their own,
competition. Yes.
Competition,
but
right?
Don't forget that everything they do is in a different segment, right? So I'm buying the Y because I love SUVs, not because I want a replacement for the 3. I bought the 3 because I don't like sedans, but I like the price point, right?
As in, you didn't have an electric Tesla that is an SUV then. Is that it?
No, as of now, I don't have a Tesla SUV. Yes. So the Y will be my SUV. But when the Cybertruck comes, I don't have a Tesla truck. So I'm buying the Cybertruck. It's not coming to replace my Y.
Okay.
Does it make sense? So every segment Tesla is offering, even though it's self-competing, is also unique.
And one thing I've observed is that they are doing, I haven't heard somebody talking about the same thing. Like for every segment, they do one car that would dominate that segment. Unlike the other manufacturers that they would do, maybe if they're talking about the C class, they have 2 or 3.
Yes, you have E and C, which are all sedans, and it's
Anyway, Percy, thank you very much for this conversation. If you are watching this, it's been a long one. We'll cut it into sections, so there'll be clips. So topical sort of. So you don't have to waste an hour if you don't feel like, but you can watch in 20 or so many segments. Any last words?
Yeah, I believe this conversation has been very productive, and I was thinking that it's high time we started doing things for Africa as well. I mean, we cannot be left behind. Always having the crumbs from advanced world, and we'll be feeling like the big dons. I mean, it's that time we start something for ourselves. So let us all think about it. Thank you.
Okay.
Awesome.
Any last words?
I had snow yesterday in May. It's about 5 degrees outside today. I might as well go enjoy that 5 degrees because there'll be a lot of rain this week. Okay. The world is definitely seeing a big change, especially with climate. Right?
Well, so it is really in Ghana.
Yeah, there we go. It justifies the transition to renewables and cleaner energy. And I'd love to see everybody get involved.
This is something revolutionary for Battery Investor Day.
I mean, a lot of patents, about 3 or 4 have come in the last couple of weeks. So yes, we're expecting a lot. But that's what I'm saying. At the end of the day, with Tesla, we're expecting again and again and again because there's always something new. Right?
Yeah.
So
I think we have a different conversation on battery.
Nothing surprises owners. It's just, oh wow, this is the new thing. Boom. This is right. It's not like you're waiting and then after battery day you expect your car to fly. No. We're just excited because we know greater things will come.
Okay. Maybe we might even live stream it and comment before and during. And we'll see how it goes. All right. That's all for now.